If you own a business and you're going through a divorce, there's several things you should think about. Number one, what happens to the business? If you started a business before you're married, there's certain things and certain protections that you can have to protect your business if you start your business before you're married. If you start your business after you're married, there are a different set of protections that you may have. Those protections are different from if you start your business before you're married. It's very important to understand that. You may ask, what am I referring to? If you start a business before you're married, then you can value the business before you're married and argue that that business valuation would continue to increase, and so that the marital portion would be less than if the entire business was considered marital property. And that's very important. That protects your business assets. If you start a business after you're married, it can be argued that the entire business is the marital asset. What does that mean? The business could be split 50-50. It could be split 70-30. It could be split 80-20. It really depends on what a judge or a jury would determine. But if the marriage does call for the business to be split up, or if a judge does decide to split up the business, then if one party wants to run the business and continue to own the business, there would have to be a valuation done and terms put in the divorce decree as to how the other party, the non-active party in the business, would be bought out. Those terms can be very, very tricky. So it's best to make sure that you have someone who understands how to value a business and set up a buy-sell agreement for that business so that the assets of the business are protected. If you have a business that may be going through a divorce, one of the things you want to think about is how you're going to make sure that the business continues to run and operate. One of the first things we ask for clients to do is to help us have an understanding of how your business operates. By doing that, we can help craft a solution that will allow for the business to still run while parties are getting divorced. An example of how we may help craft a solution that will allow the business to still run is you may have a spouse who receives payment from the business. That we would make sure that the spouse continued to receive the payment for the business, but at the same time, it would be in exchange for you being able to run the business without the involvement of your spouse, particularly if your spouse has been a non-involved or non-active partner in the business. Now is not the time for them to become an active partner in the business when you're going through a divorce. Businesses need stability, and it's our goal to help you have stability in your business because businesses are important assets that allow for parties to live the lives that they want to live. One strategy that we use that we found helpful in making sure that businesses remain intact during and after a divorce is placing a valuation on the business and then using that to divide assets such that if the parties would have owned the business together and the person who is no longer your spouse would have had a 30% interest in the business, and that 30% interest may equal $1. We make sure that they get that dollar in an asset which is not the business. And so working with us, we hope to make sure that the business remains intact by getting it valued and then making sure that there are other assets that can replace what they don't get from the business. So if you're about to split equity in the house, instead of a 50-50 split, what if you give 100% of the equity to the spouse so that they don't have an interest in the business? That's just one of the ways which we try to work with making sure that businesses are left intact for owners to be able to run them after a divorce. At Washington Dreyer, we're proud to have business litigators, experienced business litigators in our firm, which can help you make sure that your business is protected when going through a divorce.